Welcome, everyone. Another episode of Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It is January 25th, 2019. The show is presented, as always, by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there to find the show. Of course, a bunch of great articles there as well, social media links, all that jazz, as the kids say, at marijuanatimes.org. Today, we're talking about the Congressional Cannabis Caucus, also the NORML Governors Scorecard when it comes to cannabis, and medical marijuana news out of Arizona. Talk about all that coming up. First, of course, cannabis news is brought to you by NatureSide, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free, whatever you may be growing. If you're growing cannabis in a state where it's legal, don't use banned pesticides. Be regulatory compliant. You can do all these things, of course, with NatureSide, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Go check them out. They're awesome. This first story by yours truly at marijuanatimes.org. The importance of the Congressional Cannabis Caucus. If you haven't heard of the CCC, it's basically always been 4 members in the House of Representatives that kind of get together and coordinate and vocalize some sort of cohesive strategy when it comes to cannabis law reform. Of course, with Democrats now controlling the House and Pete Sessions being gone from the House, it's more important than ever that there is someone in the House pushing an agenda that favors cannabis law reform on a federal level. Dana Rohrabacher and Jared Polis were members. They have left Congress. Polis is now the governor of Colorado, and he's in the next story in the governor's scorecard. They've been replaced by Representatives Barbara Lee, who's a Democrat from California, and David Joyce, who's a Republican from Ohio. Earl Blumenauer, of course, one of the founding members of the Cannabis Caucus, said that the Cannabis Caucus was the first of its kind to create a forum for elected officials to collaborate on ways to address our outdated federal marijuana laws. Congress is clearly out of step with the American people on cannabis, but national support for federal marijuana legalization is at an all-time high. We saw several states move toward legalization last November. That story, as I said, is on marijuanatimes.org. It's also linked in the description of this video. And within that story, there are links you can urge your representative, your local representative, your representative, the House of Representatives, obviously, to join the Cannabis Caucus. So if you want to check that out, you may do so by checking out the story. This next story, of course, from NORML and NORML.org, the US Governors Scorecard. Every year, basically, NORML releases a scorecard grading governors on how well they do when it comes to marijuana law reform. This extensive database, according to NORML, assigns a letter grade A through F to states' governors based upon their comments and voting record specific to matters of marijuana policy. Now, of course, again, you can click the link in the description of this video to go see the scorecard for yourself. We'll check out a couple of it. Of course, you can see the executive summary, or you can read about all the state governors and see how and why and what grades they got and why they got those grades, etc. It goes in alphabetical order, basically, of state. So it starts with Alabama. You look down the list. Alaska's governor, really nothing. I guess he took office in December. He hasn't really been able to do much. Doug Ducey, Republican in Arizona, gets a D-. Not a good grade if memory serves me from my school days. Asa Hutchinson, Republican in Arkansas, gets a D. Asa Hutchinson, no fan of cannabis whatsoever. Gavin Newsom, he's the new governor in California, but he gets an A grade. He was very vocal about his support of California's 2016 adult use legalization law. Jared Polis just became governor and took office a couple weeks ago in Colorado. He hasn't done anything yet as well, but obviously he gets an A grade because, as mentioned in the previous story, Polis, one of the most vocal in support of cannabis law reform in his time in the House of Representatives, if not the most vocal House member. Obviously, a couple other House members like Rohrabacher and Blumenauer, also very vocal. So, I don't know how you would quantify something like that. But suffice it to say, a champion of cannabis law reform. So, and now he's governor of Colorado. So, if he's it's a great place to advance his ideas. Ned Lamont, incoming governor, well, the new governor rather of Connecticut, he acknowledged in November, shortly after becoming the elected governor of Colorado, or Connecticut rather, that legalizing the adult use marijuana market was going to be among his administration's legislative priorities in 2019. As I say, you can see the complete list. Check out all of the different governors and why they get the grades linked in the description of this video. Last story from out of Arizona, azcapitaltimes.com. Medical marijuana purchases outpace users. Basically, the crux of the story is that the amount of marijuana purchased grew at a much faster rate than the amount of users grew. New figures from the State Department of Health Services show that Arizonans smoked, ate, and otherwise consumed nearly 60 tons of marijuana in 2018. With the number of pounds of medical marijuana being purchased and consumed in Arizona is increasing at a rate twice as fast as the number of people legally entitled to use it. Why? They make this comparison, the 60 tons. If you didn't get how much 60 tons is, the Arizona Capital Times has a great way for you to remember. It's the equivalent of nearly 122,000 1-pound bags of Oreos or Chips Ahoy, if that's your preference. So a handy guide to remember how much 60 tons is for those morons out there who apparently can't multiply 60 by 2,000 and get 120,000. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people need that helpful reminder. The number, the amount of medical marijuana being purchased went up almost 41%, while the number of medical marijuana patients is up less than 20%, about 186,000 patients in Arizona. I mean, I guess Will Humble, the state director, health director, he said you've got a subset of patients that are buying a lot of marijuana. I'm really not sure why this is news. Who cares? Medical marijuana patients are buying more medical marijuana. So what? You don't hear this about anything else. Oh, they're buying just too much of something. Is that the point? Is that the whole point of the industry? People who need it, they buy it. People who have it, they sell it. I don't know. Humble went on to say, and then there are patients that are hardly buying anything, at least not from state-licensed dispensaries. Instead, they may have obtained their state-issued card, allowing them to be able to possess the drug without fear of arrest and prosecution, but have found it more convenient to simply make their purchases from street dealers. That said, Humble maybe changes some of these buyers decide it's just more convenient to go to an official dispensary, but they can also get a better variety of products there. I don't understand. I don't understand how that would help. I don't understand how that would, because the amount of purchases going up, not the amount of users. People getting cars and then not buying, that would bring down that discrepancy. Would it not? And again, who cares? Who cares? It's such a non-story. It's such a non-story. They do mention in the story that edibles and other forms are growing faster as far as sales than flowers, which is what we've seen in many other states as well, because, things like edibles and concentrates are hard to make, but if you can go buy it, then you would probably do that. But if you had to make it yourself, you might just say, I'll just smoke a bowl or something like that. I mean, it's not going to go through all that just to make some brownies, but if I can just go to a dispensary and buy some brownies, obviously that's going to become more popular as access grows. That is going to do it for Cannabis News for the week. Go enjoy your weekend. Continue to share, like, comment on all the videos, and spread the truth about cannabis with this show. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts if you want the audio-only version of the show. We're also video-wise on YouTube and Vimeo. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out today. And we'll see you next week right here on Cannabis News.